Hi, my name's Daniel, and
My name's Beatrice.
we are the Jaegers. Now playing. We've been married for 4 years. We lost our first daughter, Naya, in last year, March 2014. Basically, bitch was 23 weeks before she gave birth to her. She was leaking a lot of water the night before. We both got to work. She called me and said that she could see a lot of blood. So I was like, okay, we called the ambulance because she was in pain as well. So she said no, so come to me. She had the car. We'll both go to the hospital. Doctor said everything was fine. Baby's heartbeat was strong and everything. So we thought, okay, cool. So what they did, they just gave her painkillers upon painkillers, even though at the time she was actually having contractions, which we didn't know and they didn't know. So they said everything was fine. So I thought, okay, let me go back to work, let me get my stuff, and I'll come back to her and everything. So I went to work, came back. On the way back to work, my friend was already at the hospital with bitch, was just looking after her. He texted me and said, oh, where are you? You need to hurry up and come back, but don't be alarmed. Okay. So, ran to the hospital. I heard her screaming and shouting from the delivery suite. I'm thinking, I didn't leave her there. Doctor came up to me and said to me, okay, basically, calm down. What's gonna happen is that, your wife's about to give birth, and obviously your child is not going to survive because she is a certain age. She was too early, basically. So I got in there, I think she was using the gas and stuff like that, and she was on a lot of painkillers. At that point, we just started praying and stuff like that, and at the point in that time, the Holy Spirit gave her a song, which was My God is Awesome. We were about to lose our daughter at that time, and we were just praising and singing. Pastor Phil and Sam came down to the hospital as well, to, just to encourage and pray for us as well. By the time, Beatrice gave birth, she was alive, she was breathing for about 7 minutes. Even Pastor Phil was there, saying, can't you incubate her? But they were saying that they really cannot do that because of their legal reason and their laws and stuff like that. So, for me at that time, watching her, it kind of blessed me because at that moment, what Naya did was, for me, she served her purpose. Every single one of us, we have purpose, Who's to say, when that purpose is or when we reach that purpose? But for me, she did that because she brought me and Beatrice closer together than ever before. We've been together for a very long time, even before we got married. And what he did to us at that time was supernatural. It can only be God. And I just really thank God for, even the fact that it may sound weird that she's gone, but she did what she came to do.
Daniel's, said most of it already. But what I think is that at that time that and I gave birth to Anaya, immediately I felt, bless you, bless you. Immediately I felt that peace, that joy. Which is obviously weird emotions at that time, but just unspeakable joy that we just received, and he just gave us that peace to be able to get through it from that very moment. And throughout the whole time that I was there, because I spoke to one of the midwives, and they had actually let me know that I was going to lose my life. So that I said to Daniel that that's added to the testimony, the joy that he's given us, and the fact that I'm still alive. The whole time that we were at the hospital, the room was just bursting with so much joy, and I emphasized that so much just to show that even in the midst of something that you would call the worst thing that could happen to us, God showed up so much, which was just immense and profound for me, because Daniel had said to me that his manager had lost their child, and I said no, God forbid, not knowing what was ahead, and God had already prepared the way and been able to dispense so much grace and joy and peace for us. We skipped to June after the fast, and we found out we were pregnant, and I was so grateful to God, even in the time that we were waiting on God for us to be pregnant again. Obviously there were the times, the mind battles of, Lord, are we going to be pregnant again, and why did this happen, and things like that. But Holy Spirit just said to me, okay, if you're not pregnant this year, what's going to happen? What about next year? What's going to happen? The year after that, what's going to happen? And I had to come to that resolution that, my life is in God's hands, our lives are in God's hands, and His way is the best way. And I know that sounds very cliche, however, that's the resolution that had to come in my mind, and that sealed the peace even more for me, if that makes sense. And then, so like I said, so we became pregnant again in June, which was like 3 months later, and then God had now given us this beautiful, gorgeous Azaria. And God has been so gracious. As Daniel said, it brought us together so much more, which we didn't even know could even happen, and that could even be the product of losing our first child. But God has been gracious, and it's just to encourage you that God has never stopped doing miracles, and God has never stopped, being merciful and being present, so present in our lives. We should just literally just trust in Him. I know that sounds like something that's always said, but we had to trust in Him, and He's given us Azaria.
Looking back to everything that happened last year, we're truly grateful because it's only God that brought us through what we went through. A lot of people came and saw us, you know, or asked, you know, why we so happy, why we so, you know, joyful. But it was truly just the grace of God. He brought us through it, and you know, it's just the God in us, to be honest.
Awesome. Heals me when I'm broken, strength where I've been weakened. Praise His